George W. Bush just started his second term. Gas costs $1.83 a gallon. The average American household income is $46,000 a year, and two people, both 28 years old, both starting new jobs with identical salaries, sit down at their HR desks on the same Monday morning and fill out the same enrollment form. One question on that form will define the next 30 years of their financial lives. It does not ask them to pick stocks. It does not ask them to time the market. It asks one thing: traditional 401k or Roth IRA. Sarah checks the box for traditional 401k. She does not think about it for long. Her dad had a 401k. Her coworker has a 401k. The tax break shows up in her paycheck immediately. It feels like the obvious answer. Mike checks the box for Roth IRA. He read something online the night before. Paid taxes now, never again. It sounded interesting. He was not sure it was right. He just went with it. Neither of them knows what they actually chose. Neither of them will know for a very long time. Let's follow both of them, all the way to 2035, through 2 market crashes, a global pandemic, and 30 years of compounding. Because the number at the end of this story is the kind of number that changes how you think about one checkbox on a form you filled out without thinking. Here is the setup, and we are going to be exact about it. Sarah and Mike both earn $58,000 a year in 2005. Both are 28 years old. Both contribute $500 a month to their retirement accounts without fail. No interruptions, no withdrawals, no panic selling. Both invest in an S&P 500 index fund inside their respective accounts. Both receive no employer match for simplicity. We are isolating the account type variable only. Both live in a state with no income tax. Both face a federal marginal tax rate of 22% throughout their working years, and both expect to retire at 58, exactly 30 years after they started. The only difference between Sarah and Mike is the account they chose on that Monday morning in January 2005. Sarah, traditional 401k. Contributions go in before taxes. The money grows tax deferred. Every dollar she withdraws in retirement gets taxed as ordinary income. Mike, Roth IRA. Contributions go in after taxes. The money grows completely tax-free. Every dollar he withdraws in retirement is completely, permanently, legally untaxed. That is the entire difference. One word: pre-tax or post-tax, and it is about to matter enormously. Let's start the clock. January 2005. Sarah contributes $500 to her traditional 401k. Because she contributes pre-tax, her taxable income drops by $500 that month. At a 22% marginal rate, that saves her $110 in taxes immediately. Her out-of-pocket cost for a $500 contribution is effectively $390. She brings this up at lunch. Her coworker nods. Her mom is proud. The traditional 401k gives you something to show right away, a tax break you can feel in your paycheck on the same day you start contributing. Mike contributes $500 to his Roth IRA. He gets no tax break today. His paycheck does not change. His taxable income does not drop. He pays the full $500 out of pocket, after taxes, with nothing to show for it in the short term. He does not bring it up at lunch. There is nothing to say. He just invested $500 and got nothing back immediately. Sarah feels smart. Mike feels patient. 2 years pass. Then the world changes. October 2007. The S&P 500 hits an all-time high. Both Sarah and Mike are up significantly on paper. Sarah has approximately $15,800 in her 401k. Mike has approximately $15,800 in his Roth IRA. The accounts look identical at this point. Same fund, same contributions, same market returns. Then, September 2008 arrives. Lehman Brothers collapses. The market begins a fall that will not stop until March 2009. By the bottom, the S&P 500 will have lost 56.8% of its value from peak. It is the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Both Sarah and Mike watch their accounts get cut nearly in half. Sarah's 401k drops from roughly $18,400 to approximately $8,000. Mike's Roth IRA drops from roughly $18,400 to approximately $8,000. Same pain, same number, same fund. But here is where the accounts start to quietly separate. Sarah, scared and watching her balance collapse, considers a withdrawal, the T's. Traditional 401k allows it, but it comes with a 10% early withdrawal penalty plus ordinary income tax on the full amount. If she pulls $8,000, she loses roughly $3,300 immediately to penalties and taxes. She keeps her hands off it, but the temptation is real, and the cost of giving in would be devastating. Mike considers the same thing. His Roth IRA allows him to withdraw his contributions, not his earnings, just the money he put in, at any time, for any reason, with no taxes and no penalties. He could pull out roughly $6,000 in contributed funds right now and owe nothing. He does not. But the option existing without a penalty attached means he sleeps differently than Sarah does. The Roth is flexible in a crisis in a way the 401k simply is not. Both hold. Both keep contributing through the crash. Both are buying the S&P 500 at historically low prices in 2009. This is the decision that will define the next decade for both of them. Not which account they chose, but whether they stayed in the market when it felt like the world was ending. They both did, and the market rewards them for it. By 2014, 5 years after the bottom, both accounts have recovered and grown significantly. Sarah has approximately $94,000 in her traditional 401k. Mike has approximately $94,000 in his Roth IRA, still nearly identical on paper. Here is where people make a mistake looking at this comparison. They look at the balances, see the same number, and conclude it does not matter which one you choose. That conclusion is wrong, and the reason it is wrong will cost Sarah a very specific amount of money. Let's talk about what those account balances actually mean. Sarah's $94,000 is pre-tax money. Every single dollar in that account has never been taxed. When she retires and starts pulling that money out, the IRS will treat every withdrawal as ordinary income. If Sarah withdraws $60,000 a year in retirement, a reasonable lifestyle number in her late 50s, she will owe federal income tax on all of it. At projected tax rates similar to today, roughly 22 to 24% of every dollar comes back out of her account and goes to the government. Her $94,000 is not $94,000. It is closer to $71,000 after the tax bill. Mike's $94,000 is post-tax money. Every single dollar in that account has already been taxed. Back in 2005, 2006, 2007, at the lower dollar amounts he contributed. When he retires and withdraws the full balance, including 30 years of compound growth, he owes the IRS exactly $0. His $94,000 is $94,000. Every cent. The gap in 2014 is approximately $23,000 in real purchasing power, in Mike's favor. On identical account balances, this is the number that does not appear anywhere on Sarah's statement. Now let's move forward, because it gets larger. February 2020, Sarah is 43 years old. Mike is 43 years old. Both are still contributing $500 a month. The S&P 500 has been on one of the longest bull markets in history. Sarah's 401k, approximately $412,000. Mike's Roth IRA, approximately $412,000. Same number, different reality. Then March 2020 arrives. COVID-19 shuts down the global economy. The market falls 34% in 33 days, the fastest crash in history. Both accounts drop to approximately $272,000 in a matter of weeks. Sarah gets a letter from her 401k provider explaining her options. She can take a CARES Act distribution, a pandemic relief measure that allows penalty-free early withdrawal from retirement accounts in 2020 with the tax spread over 3 years. She could access her money, but she would owe income tax on every dollar spread across her 2020, 2021, and 2022 returns. The flexibility exists, but it comes with a bill. Mike can access his Roth contributions, over $180,000 in contributed funds, at any time, completely tax-free and penalty-free. No CARES Act needed, no tax bill. His account has always worked this way. He does not need the money, but knowing it is there, accessible and clean, makes the crash feel different. He does not panic. He stays invested. Both hold again. Both keep contributing. The market recovers in roughly 5 months, the fastest recovery in history. By December 2020, both accounts are at all-time highs. And now, we head toward the finish line. January 2035. Sarah is 58 years old. Mike is 58 years old. 30 years of consistent $500 monthly contributions into the same index fund, through 2 major crashes, through a pandemic, through everything. Sarah's traditional 401k balance, approximately $1,146,000. Mike's Roth IRA balance, approximately $1,146,000. The statements look identical. The account types do not work identically. Sarah retires and begins drawing $72,000 a year from her 401k. At that withdrawal rate, her effective federal tax rate is approximately 18% on the total, given standard deductions and bracket structure. She pays roughly $12,960 in federal taxes annually just on her retirement withdrawals. Over a 25-year retirement, from 58 to 83, Sarah pays approximately $324,000 in taxes on money she already saved and invested, money that sat in the market for 30 years, money she earned, saved, deferred, and finally withdrew. The government took $324,000. Mike retires the same day, draws the same $72,000 a year, pays $0 in federal income tax on his Roth withdrawals, 0 in year 1, 0 in year 10, 0 in year 20. His money grew for 30 years completely tax-free and now leaves his account completely tax-free. Over the same 25-year retirement, Mike keeps $324,000 that Sarah sends to the IRS. That is the real number, not the balance on the statement. The $324,000 that one checkbox on an HR form in January 2005 determined. Now, let's be honest about when Sarah's choice actually wins. Because the traditional 401k is not the wrong answer for everyone, it depends on 3 specific variables. And if you get those variables wrong in the analysis, you will reach the wrong conclusion. Variable 1, your tax rate now versus your tax rate in retirement. The entire Roth advantage rests on the assumption that you will be in the same or higher tax bracket in retirement than you are today. If you earn $140,000 a year right now and are in the 24% bracket, but you plan to retire on $45,000 a year in a 12% bracket, the traditional 401k's immediate tax deduction at 24% is worth more than the Roth's tax-free withdrawal at 12%. Sarah would have been better off choosing the 401k if she expected to retire in a significantly lower bracket. Variable 2, the employer match. Many employers match traditional 401k contributions, often 50% up to 6% of salary. If your employer matches and you do not have access to that match through a Roth option, leaving the match behind is almost always a mathematical mistake. A 50% instant return from an employer match beats any tax advantage calculation. Always capture the full match first, regardless of account type. Variable 3, Roth IRA income limits. In 2024, the ability to contribute directly to a Roth IRA phases out at $146,000 in modified adjusted gross income for single filers and $230,000 for married filers. If you earn above those thresholds, direct Roth IRA contributions are restricted, though the backdoor Roth conversion strategy exists as a workaround for high earners. There is also a behavioral argument for the traditional 401k that deserves acknowledgement. The immediate tax savings, that $110 monthly reduction in Sarah's tax bill, represents real money she could redirect into other investments, an emergency fund, or debt payoff. If Sarah invested that $110 monthly tax savings into a taxable brokerage account in VOOO over 30 years at 10% annual return, she would have accumulated approximately $228,000 in additional wealth. That is not nothing. That is a genuine counter-argument to the Roth's tax-free advantage, and in some scenarios it closes the gap meaningfully. The traditional 401k is not wrong. It is the wrong choice for a specific profile, someone who expects to be in the same or higher tax bracket in retirement has no significant employer match to capture, and is in the income range where Roth contributions are accessible. Here is the framework, and it works in 4 questions. Question 1. Does your employer offer a match? If yes, contribute enough to the traditional 401k to capture every dollar of that match before doing anything else. Free money at 50 to 100% return beats every other calculation. Question 2. What is your tax bracket now, and what do you realistically expect in retirement? If you are in the 12% bracket now and expect to be in the 22% bracket in retirement as your wealth grows, the Roth wins clearly. If you are in the 32% bracket now and expect to retire on significantly less income, the traditional 401k's immediate deduction at 32% likely wins. Question 3. How old are you, and how much flexibility do you need before retirement? The Roth's contribution withdrawal flexibility makes it meaningfully more valuable for people in their 20s and early 30s who may need emergency access before 59 and a half. If you are 52 and 5 years from retirement, this flexibility matters less. Question 4. Do you believe tax rates will be higher or lower in 30 years? Nobody knows the answer to this, but the U.S. national debt has grown significantly, and many economists argue that tax rates over the next 30 years are more likely to rise than fall. If that happens, locking in today's tax rates through a Roth contribution becomes more valuable over time, not less. Back to Sarah and Mike in 2035. Sarah followed the conventional advice. She captured the immediate tax break. She built over $1 million in retirement savings through 30 years of consistent investing. By almost any measure, she did everything right. But Mike made one different decision on one Monday morning in 2005. Same contributions, same fund, same market, same crashes, same recoveries. $324,000 different. Not because Mike was smarter, not because he timed the market, not because he took more risk, because he understood that the balance on the statement and the money he actually keeps are 2 different numbers, and only one of them matters when you retire. The next time someone tells you the traditional 401k is the obvious choice because of the immediate tax break, ask them one question. What tax rate are you using when you model the withdrawals? Because the answer that includes the full 25-year tax bill on the back end is the only answer that tells you what you actually have. And if you are wondering what happens when you combine both accounts, the traditional 401k up to the employer match, and the Roth IRA for everything above it, that is a completely different conversation. And the math might change everything you think you know.